Spiky ladies, how's everybody doing? Man, it's been a hot minute since I've been live on here. I was doing it every single week, and now since I've had little baby girl, who is 9 months old now, crazy, I haven't been live much because I've been mom and business owner. But I wanted to pop on here and give you 3 quick tips on how to make your core exercises better and more appropriate for you for mountain biking. Because these are common pitfalls that even I have fallen into over the past 9 months whenever I've been recovering from a little girl. So there are 3 quick tips on how to make your core exercises better. First one is go at your level. This is one that I have fallen into over the past 9 months. I have had to go back to the basics. I've had to start with my breathing. I've had to readdress my pelvic floor. And you're like, well, duh, Liz, you had a baby. Well, it's also some things that I've had to focus on even before I had a baby because I would make mistakes on this. I played Division I soccer in college. I've had these things that I've done that I think I should be farther along than what I am. I see exercises, and even with my knowledge of exercises, I see them and I'm like, I should be able to do that. I'm going to put that into my workout. I'm going to put that into my program. I'm going to do that. And then I look back as I'm doing it, or even after I did it, I'm like, that was a little bit too much. I wasn't activating my core properly. I wasn't using my pelvic floor. And I think that's an important thing for us to remember as we're busting a move, as we're doing different exercises, as we're doing different things. We need to remember that. One of the things that I personally have had issues with is tenting of my abs. And that's where I'm using more of like my 6-pack muscle here, my rectus abdominis, and I'm not using as much of my oblique muscles. And so whenever I'm doing the actual exercise, this part sticks up a little bit more. And that's why they call it tenting, is because this part is up and this part's down. And so then it's like a little tent that forms on my stomach. And if you want a little bit more information about this, I did a YouTube video or a Facebook Live that talked a little bit more specifically about tenting, because it's a huge issue for us as women, because if we don't use our obliques are what connect back to our back. They connect back to like this big old fascia sheath in the back of our body, back of our trunk, and that's what connects into our spine. And so if you have any low back pain, if you have any low back tension, then your obliques are what you need to be firing. Our 6-pack muscle here, it gets used a whole lot more when we do different crunches, sometimes when we do even like leg reaches out, when we're trying to use more of our lower abs, or what I call our lower abs. A lot of other people call lower abs, but it's that we need to use more on the side versus the front. And I had to go back to even just a single leg marching, which is one reason why in the Ride Life team, my monthly membership, I include in every single one of those a pelvic floor module, which my friend Buffy made. She's a pelvic floor PT, and the lowest levels of my Core Crushers program, because I want it to be there as an opportunity, be available for anybody that may need it, to have those lower levels of the Core Crushers, those lower levels to almost revert back to and be like, no, I need to focus on this. I need to do these. And these are the exercises that are not fun to do. They're not exciting. They take a lot of mental energy and breath work, and it's just hard because they're not fun. And so I've had to go back and step to those to make sure I'm activating here, because I was starting to have some low back pain. I was starting to have some low back tension. I was starting to have issues where I wasn't able to make my power moves as I needed to. I went back and I did those for 3 weeks, literally 3 weeks, and I saw a dramatic change in my technical ability for riding routes. I saw a dramatic change in my ability for power at the top of the climbs. I could take that little like eek of a moment to stop and then continue to go with my power on my pedal. Those type of things are where our core comes into using it on the bike and being able to implement that. I don't know if anybody else has felt this like need for some base level exercises. I'd love to hear from you if you do. I think we all can support each other for doing the exercises that aren't the easiest to actually perform and the easiest to actually do. I'd love to hear from you personally on here if you want to say like, yes, I've had those issues or not. But yeah, so that's number one. Do exercises that are at your level, and even step back a moment and make sure that you are doing them properly. Which is why on my monthly memberships, my Ride Life team, I have videos that describe what you should be feeling, what you need to be doing, different cues that you can do for your body to help you do the exercises properly. It's not a follow along, which is nice on some aspects, but this one is the climb crushers and also the lower levels of the core crushers and the pelvic floor are all about listening and you feeling what's going on with your body versus trying to keep up with me as I'm doing workouts. Number 2, for your core exercises, it is you need to incorporate your core into other exercises. As you're doing different glute work, your core needs to be working. As you're doing different like push-ups or other different upper body stuff, you need to be using your core with that. The reason why it's so important for us as mountain bikers is because as we're on the bike, we're not just using our core. In fact, we're most likely to not use our core on our bike. We're more likely to just use our arms, just use our legs, our quads. And it's if we incorporate our core, then that's when we get that extra boost. That's when we get that extra stability, that extra balance, or that extra power that I was just talking about. That's whenever we see that extra little bit that helps us. And so those exercises and incorporating your core. So if you're doing your squats, make sure that your core is working properly for you as you're even holding any weights. Make sure you're not overusing your back as you're doing that. Those are all super important as you're doing different donkey kicks or as you're doing different reverse flies for your upper back. That's whenever you can do it in more of like a bent over position. And so you're incorporating your core as you're doing your shoulder blade muscle work. So incorporating your core into your other exercises is a key point for you to think about. A lot of times when people are doing bent over rows, they put a hand on the bench. Well, how about you not put a hand on the bench and use your trunk to hold that bent over position, and then you actually do the movement, because you're either gaining stability from that bench or you can gain your stability from your core, from your body. And those are important things. Same thing, instead of doing just bird dog where you're doing both arm and leg reach out, what if you just use your leg? Or what if you just use your arm? So then you're not counterbalancing yourself with an arm and a leg, but you're actually using your core to then raise just an arm or just a leg. Incorporating the use of your core for more of your exercises is super key to then transfer it over to the bike. That's why a lot of my exercises, even for the lower body, I make you self-test your core to make sure that your core is good enough to do specific lower body exercises. Same thing for your upper body, your core is important with it, which is why I have people do push-ups for their self-test of their body. I'm talking about the climb crushers here, because you self-strength test into each level to make sure that you start at your individual, the level that you need to. And that is what creates your specific calendar. Number three is make sure you're doing rotational exercises and or counter rotational exercises. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the Palloff press. That is one of my favorite ones because you are holding stability against a rotational force. It's where you can either be standing in a half kneeling position and a kneeling position, and you're pressing your arms out forward, and the band is pulling you sideways, and so it's wanting to rotate you. That's one of my favorite exercises. Also, doing any single leg or single arm exercises is super critical, because our arms and our legs in mountain biking, they're not doing the same thing. They're doing different things. And so if we just do squats versus if we do side lunges or reverse lunges, those are needed because they're single leg activity. They're making one side of our body do something different than the other. When we are putting power into the pedal, that's a single leg movement that our trunk has to maintain that stability to put power through our legs. It's a rotational stability that we need to hold. And so as you're doing your core exercises, Same thing incorporated with other exercises, that we need to maintain that stability against the rotation or to move us into rotation, actually going through that full body movement. Has anybody ever tried to do like a single leg deadlift hold and then rotate your trunk? That's one of the exercises in the program that is super challenging for people. One, because it incorporates balance. Two, it incorporates rotation in your trunk. Three, it incorporates your hip strength and stability and endurance as you're doing it. And it makes you look at where you want to go. It's so many good things in one single exercise. Everyone's always amazed at how hard that one is. By the way, any balance exercise is going to be hard for a long time until it's easy. It's one of those funny things, and balance is a great way to challenge your core. So, as we wrap up, one, I want you to know that if you are interested in the Ride Life team, I'm doing a 3-week accountability challenge. It starts on Monday, and I can send you over the link to join. It's $25 a month. You can join for the month and see what 3 weeks can give you, or you can continue on and get a great program that continues with you as you gain. But going back over the main points. Number one, do exercises that are at your level. I myself had to step back in that and to do exercises that are more specific for what my core needed, what my pelvic floor needed. Two, incorporate your core exercises into other exercises. Look at how you can change what external stimulation or stability that you're getting can give you in your trunk, or your trunk can do instead. So instead of holding your hand on the bench, make your trunk have to hold your stability as you're doing the bent over row or the reverse fly. Do it on your hands and knees instead. That makes you have to hold that, or in a kneeling plank. All of those are perfect ways of adding stability where your core is working for you as you're doing those different exercises. And then three, making sure you're adding rotation in. Rotation is key for either counter rotation or rotation, like actually physically moving in a rotated position, is key for you to have that stability in cornering, have the stability that you're reaching the top of the climb for that power move, that you're really wanting to put that pressure down into the pedal. And as you're going through different technical sections, as you are losing or trying to get balance in to make sure you can keep going and put that pedal down. I hope this gains some clarity for either one, joining the team, or two, ways that you can change your exercises to feel better on the bike. These are great ways you can make just simple, even if you make one change based on these exercises, based on these tips, you will see a change in your core exercises. You will see a change in your riding. Core is one of the biggest ways that we can impact our riding to change our fitness very quickly. I hope y'all have a great day, and comment team if you want the link to the accountability challenge. And I'd love to know if this gained you any clarity or anything that you're going to change in your workouts. Bye, y'all. I hope you have a fantastic day.